Remember scratching messages and pictures and black scratch notes like these when you were a kid? I wondered if I could use my card making tools to make gorgeous, colorful cards with them, and the answer is yes. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik, and here are the first two cards I made with these Arteza scratch notes. They're black paper, and when you scratch them, the colorful images appear. And in my cards that I'm going to show, I used embossing folders, such as this one from Sizzix and Tim Holtz. And I put two of them together and created this mini slimline card, and that beautiful color comes through after scratching the notes. Here's another one I did, and I did it with 4 different colors of the scratch notes. So we have the blue and the gold and the silver and the pink. Isn't that pretty? And I used a larger Cuttlebug embossing folder to make that one. Of course, all the cards that I show will be on my blog, and links to those blog posts and products featured are in the description box. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do this with embossed images. So in the box you get pink and silver and blue and gold and rainbow, and you get a couple of these tools, which in essence are like thicker emery boards, I guess, with sanding paper or scratch paper on there, and you simply use their tool and you can rub and start to get the images. I'm using a smaller piece right now to show you, but I'll do a bigger one in a few minutes. And whatever color is below will start to appear, especially, you know, in those embossed areas. Now, of course, I could just scratch the whole thing, but I really like having the images pop up from the embossing areas, the embossed areas. And you can just kind of direct this tool towards the embossed areas, and they will pop up. I suggest keeping a Swiffer cloth handy to wipe off the parts, the black that you don't want, and also to clean up your area. It is a messy process, so, you know, again, the Swiffer cloths will help a lot. I tried other tools. I tried this older sanding block from Polar Bear from years ago, and to be honest, it is old and has been used and used. It really didn't work for me, but maybe a new one would. Of course, it would get all black, and you'd want to dedicate it to this. So if you have any of these or another sanding tool in your stash, you could try it. I also tried just putting 2 emery boards that came in products for my nails together, and that did work. But one advantage to using these tools from them is once you have done a bunch of scraping on the black, you can actually take this end and just kind of clean it off, and then it will continue to work very well. So I don't know that it would last forever, but you can take some of that excess black off of these, and so that is one advantage with their tools. I also suggest totally cleaning your area, or I mean covering your work area with a large piece of paper or something, and then moving it to finish your cards, because it is a messy process, okay? But it's a lot of fun. There's positives and the negatives, of course, to every tool. It's easy, sparkly, and rainbow color with just a scratcher and these scratch notes, and it's inexpensive. You get a lot. There's 202 in here. And when I had watched a lady online, I'm sorry I didn't keep her video to be able to link it, but she had used these, and so I went to Amazon and found them. As you can see, I have a lot of them. So if you would like to win a sample package of these, as well as your favorite card from the video today, watch to the end and you'll find out how you might be able to do that. I'll just go through a few other negatives, and it's not a big deal, but just so you know, it's kind of an odd size for card making. It's 3.5-inch square, but as I've showed in those first couple cards, you can combine them, and you do get a lot. So you could put 2 together or 4 together and make a larger card front. They also are a little bit, they will make a mess on your embossing folders and your stencils. I suggest using alcohol wipes or hand sanitizer, but they're a lot of fun to play with. I'll show you a few more cards that I made. This is a Christmas card that I made with a beautiful poinsettia embossing folder. I embossed the background, but then I embossed 2 of these and put them on in a diagonal way, and I like how that one turned out. Another card making tool, way to use this is to die cut them and to punch them. So on this card I die cut a couple flower shapes, and I punched some butterfly shapes, and I did the scratching, of course, and I made a shaker card with a favorite new shaker elements from Ceya. This is their crushed irregular glass in mixed colors. So because I was using rainbow colors in the card, I used their rainbow colored, mixed colors crushed glass to make a shaker. Here's a smaller 3D impresslets from Sizzix and Tim Holtz, and so that made, using that with the gold one, made a beautiful embellishment that I'll use on a card. I tried the Sizzix, it's Sizzix Mosaic Gems embossing folder and made a couple of those. What I found was when you're choosing embossing folders, the real fine ones with fine lines don't work as well. You kind of want ones that have bigger embossed areas, if that makes sense. There's more to scratch off. This is one I tried early on, and well, it's kind of pretty, it's kind of delicate, so there's a lot of black there, and it didn't work as well. Here's another one I tried with a very delicate floral, and so while it's pretty, I think I prefer the ones that have a little more embossed raised areas, and that way you have more of the color coming through. Here's some of those butterflies that I punched. And another thing I discovered you can do, and I'd kind of forgotten, is that you can take their stick and write on there. And also their stick works well after you've done one like this, and if you see an area where you didn't get as much completely off as you would like on an embossed area, you can just go back in with the stick and finish it. So I'll show you some of that in my samples here. One thing I tried was to use stencils, and I'm not an artistic person at all. I mean, I can't even draw a stick person, okay, but I can use stencils and I can use embossing folders, and so I had this stencil here that had this real fun pattern, kind of like a sunburst, and then it had some words, and so I tried that, and it worked fine, but what I found was, again, you kind of want bigger openings. The bigger openings worked better, but if I wanted to go back and make some of these marks a little bigger, I could. I'm going to cover my work surface here again, just to make sure I don't get this black all over everything. I could go back in on this one and just use the stick and make some of these marks a little bigger that were really small from the stencil, so a little bit more of that color will come through. So once the pattern is there, someone like me who's totally not artistic could make this into a very cool embellishment for my cards. But I did pick a stencil that has bigger holes in it. So I started this one. It does take a little while, you know, and I didn't want to have you watch me going all the way around. But if I take their stick, as you can see, there's a few black marks here. I don't know if you can yet. There's a few black marks in some of these that I already did. And then I just take their stick and go into the holes of the stencil. And I can make it as messy or as completely colored as I want. If I don't care if there's a little bit of black, I can leave it. But if I really want to be particular and leave no black whatsoever, I can take a little more time. But all I'm doing is following the stencil and creating this pattern. Now these smaller holes won't show too much, but I thought this one had enough bigger holes that this pretty rainbow pattern is going to look really nice. So I think most of the area has been, most of the stencil holes has been scratched on that one. I'll use an alcohol wipe to clean the stencil. And as you can see, that pretty rainbow pattern is in there. I thought that I would use this on a cute little card for my grandson, and I am going to scratch in here, "Love you." And then if I were to attach this to a little note card and send it to him in the mail, he'll be thrilled with what he gets. Isn't that fun? So I'm also going to show you one that is with an embossing folder. Let's clean this up a little bit here. The Swiffers were very necessary with this. I have taken 4 colors of their scratch off notes. In the box you really can't tell what color they are. Obviously they all look the same, but I was able to distinguish and label mine pink, blue, gold, silver, and rainbow, and that's what I have here. I have a blue one, a pink one, a silver, and a gold, and I cut it into squares. I'm going to make a square card. And I had this embossing folder from Tailored Expression that's called Leafy Vine that seemed that it would be perfect for this technique. So you're going to run this through your die cutting machine on whatever sandwich you're supposed to use. And on my Empress, the regular embossing folders go through with 2 glass plates. And it's off camera, but I thought I would just show you the whole process. So it is now embossed. A little hard to see in the camera. Maybe you can see the debossing side a little better. The embossing folder does have some black on there, and again I will clean that thoroughly, probably with some hand sanitizer, and it does come off. Then you're going to just take one of their tools, which is right in the box, or again, you know, a couple emery boards glued together. One would work, but it seemed like a thicker one worked better. And you're just going to start rubbing. I just start in a circular motion, and that brings out some of the embossing. so I know where those leaves are, because what I'm going to be aiming for are the embossed areas. Once I get some of that embossing started to come, then I kind of take the corner. I can kind of clean these edges off again. And I'm going to be aiming right at those leaves. So I can see where the leaves are. And I'm going to aim right at them to let the blue color, in this case, come through a bit more. Now you can leave it as black as you want, I guess, but I think, of course, the prettiest parts are the sparkly blue or pink or gold or silver that is coming through. And then I'm going to repeat that on the pink. Once again, you know, looking at those leaves mostly. The skinnier vines and dots have already appeared as much as they're going to, but the leaves, with a little bit of extra rubbing, will be more colorful. I think this is something that kids would love to do. I think I'm going to bring some along with some paper to protect the tables, and let them play. They could probably draw some images in them, and then you know, they would like that. But I have some stencils that would be fun for them to play with too. And I'll bring lots of Swiffer claws. I also can use the Swiffer cloth to go over the images, and also to clean off the surface and my hands. You also can, if you see let's say a particular leaf that you didn't quite get all the color, the black off of, you can go back in with a stick and just finish it. So depending on how much you do with the other tool, you can go back in and easily remove any black that you don't want on the leaves themselves, or whatever embossed image you have uncovered. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take a clean Swiffer. Make sure the area is completely clean. So I am going to add this to a square note card with some glue. I thought it was fun to put 4 colors together, and parts that I cut off I'll use for another card. But on that first card I showed you I put four colors together and then made a larger card. But in this case I'm making a square note card that would fit into that pretty embossing folder that I used. I cut a Celebrate die cut out of white, and I put some easy cut adhesive on the back. I didn't think glue would necessarily work too well trying to attach this to this card. And there we have a beautiful gold, silver, blue, and purple embossed background and Celebrate across the front. And I had great fun making that card and using these Arteza scratch notes. So if you would like to win some of these, to try them out for yourself and also win one of the cards that I showed in this video, simply watch this video in full and then leave a comment before the end of May 2023 telling me where you live, sorry, USA mailing addresses only, and which card was your favorite. If your comment is drawn, I will send you a sample pack of this and your favorite card in the mail. I love to find products from our past that can be updated with today's card making tools to create unique cards. I hope you enjoyed this video and will try some of the techniques and products featured, and then send some of your handmade joy out into this world.